Hey tubers, I'm working on one of these refrigerators here. I've got, you can hear it running, I'll get to that in a minute, but this is the one that was on the far left in the the haul video. I've determined it to be a 1936 D336. D being the model series, 3 being 3 cubic foot, and 36 being the year. I'm thinking it runs on R114 Freon, not sulfur dioxide. As you see, I got the door mounted back on there. These are the hinges off this one right here. It's a little messy in here. Hinges off this one, and then this one I've kind of got running. I'm kind of getting it running, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I have because the hinges that came with this is one of them, are just wore out real bad. You can see right there. Whoop! I'll drop it there. But see how wore that out is. And then the other one that came with it is completely broken too. There's a lot of screws that come with it. But I do have it running. I've done some stuff to it. Open her up here. I've replaced the door gasket, as you can see, with this stuff, which is a little too thick. Lowe's. It's a quarter inch thick. Sticks on there. Somebody had foam on it and it wouldn't even hardly shut. But if that quarter inch is a little too thick, and they had a smaller size, which I may take this one off and put it on there. But it is on and it is chilling. I'm working on the thermostat right now. That's all the parts to the thermostat, as you can see. Get down to about 40 degrees. So I had to do some. What I did is I'm gonna do some continuation videos on this thing. But what I did is when I first plugged this thing up, I couldn't ever get it to cool at the seller's house. And then I brought it home, I couldn't get it cool here. And so what I did is, as I let it run, I tapped on the float valve. Okay, if you can see that tube that I'm pointing at right where my fingernail's at, I don't know if it'll zoom in or not. Yeah, see that little tube there is kind of going straight as a float valve. And I tapped on it. When I tapped on it a few times, it unstuck. And I'm guessing it's still running on the R114. But I've already kind of been piddling with it a little bit. I'm going to do some work on the wiring, but the wiring is in decent enough shape to just keep it like it is for right now until I get all the bugs worked out of it. I actually had this thing running, and I actually put drinks in this thing last night, and it never should shut off. So I'm working on. I had to take all the drinks because they were almost frozen. I mean, it was down like right where my thumb is. It was down like 10 degrees in here. So it's working pretty good. I'm gonna have to eventually do some more touch up on the wiring a little bit, and the suspension on the compressor. Let me get down here. This thing's kind of hard to shut because the quarter inch gasket's a little too thick. It originally had the suspension belts they were probably originally about this long, about an inch long, and that's what's remnants of them. And let me turn this light on here so you can see. So the core, see the. I know this is all shoddy, but if you can look, you see these O-rings right there, right through there. Because you might be able to get a better shot there. That's so you can get a better shot on that one. So I bought some O-rings to try to replace the belt, but these are too long. These are like a little over an inch and 3/16. Yeah, inch 3/16 OD diameter. And so I put 2 on each one. There's 4. There's 1 there, or actually 2 there, 2 there, and then 2 on the other side. So I actually got 8. 2 on each one. 4 times 2, 8. but I'm gonna have to get something about a 1/2 inch, maybe about as thick, because that's what the rattling sound is. It's vibrating the whole. That's why you gotta have suspension on these things. Is it keeps them. See, it vibrates the whole refrigerator, and it, you know, whatever drinks in there will just constantly shake and explode and everything else. So I'm gonna make another hardware store run and get a little thinner gasket and some smaller O-rings and hook all this stuff up. But what I'm gonna do is, once I get the gasket fixed, the thermostat fixed, and the O-ring suspension issue fixed, I'm just gonna run it like it is for a little while, and then I'll go back and redo the wiring in it. But I'm having little problems with the door shutting, which, you know, if I get that smaller gasket, I think it'll be fine. But it looks almost stock. It's pretty good. It was a 17-foot piece, so I was able to do all the way around it one piece, and it cut it off right there, and it sticks on the back. So, but I have a hard time trying to get it shut. I'm gonna put you on pause and get this thing shut. Okay, I got it shut there. Get a light up here so you can see. You can see where it just barely shuts. And you have to push on it and pull from the back to get it to barely latch. And half of it is the thickness of the door gasket's too thick, and the hinges are still just a little wore out, these. So the door drops at an angle just a little bit. You can see how far off it is. So I'm gonna try to do some more work on those hinges. They're better shape than the ones that came with this one, but so that's where we're at right now. I've done some cleaning on it, so I'm gonna leave all this alone because this is gonna be my garage refrigerator. But yeah, so far so good. And but the thermostat, open this thing. Well, thermostat in there, you see all that opening there. I don't want to open it back up because I'll have to push it again. But the thermostat, it ran all night. It just pretty much ran all night, about froze the drinks. It's just sticking. So what I did is I got the cover off of it, and I sprayed some WD-40 in there, and I cleaned the contacts in there, and trying to get it to where it'll shut on and off right now and get a good temperature. And the knob on it is where you can actually adjust anywhere you want to. So the knob may have been unadjusted wrong. So I'm actually got it at a good point to where I'm gonna try to get it to where it is a good in between, to where it'll be in the refrigerator range and not freeze my drinks, but it'll be a good cold refrigerator range. And that's why I've got the thermostat in there, temperature in there, to see where we're at on it. All right, back with you here on this 1936 Frigidaire. I've got the model number finally on it. It's a DS336. I thought it was a D, but it's a DS, but it's pretty much the same thing. I had to redo the foam on it, different type of foam material, because the other was too thick. So see, now it's latching. See, it's actually latching when I shut it now. I changed the hinges out. I robbed the one off this one right here. So, and I'm gonna scrap, because I'm gonna make this one a good one, or a good one to sell. I'm gonna restore it and sell it. But yeah, I've got the new O-rings. Let's see if I can line up here. If you can see that one, looks like an O-ring. If I can get in there. Let's see. Yeah, if you can see that, used to be that belt that I was showing you earlier. But I took 2 O-rings. I think these are like, so I got actually 8 O-rings. These will do a lot better. You can see the gap. You can see the gap right there, how much is holding it up. So I've got, 2 on each one to handle the strength. Let's see what O-ring I used. I used 11/16. 11/16. So number 10 is what I used. Because I had these in here and they're just too big. And when the best way to put them on there is flip the refrigerator completely upside down, so the compressor's laying completely, those pins are laying completely, and you can just slide the O-ring on there, and then when you flip it upside down, but these are tight enough to where they fit tight even when they're pinched together, so they won't fall off when you flip the refrigerator back on its top. So open her up here. I got the shelf over here on the floor, but I've got the thermostat figured out. Thermostat worked good. It's just somebody had this thing completely out of adjustment. What this is there a little stopper right here, so you only can turn it all the way here and it stops, and then you can turn it all the way here and it stops. Well, if you take this nut out and take this off, you can screw it all the way in or all the way out, and there's about that much adjustment on it. So I had to just have all this loose in here to check everything, make sure, and then kind of get it to where it was, and had the temperature gauge in here to kind of get it close. So it's close enough now that I could take this screw out and get it fine-tuned a little better. So, okay. Let's get all this put back together and get it fired up, and we'll see where we're at. Alright. I've got it running. I just fired it back up. But it's been running for, you know, about 2 minutes. Because you can hear the liquid falling like always. But look how quiet it is now with those. Make sure those O-rings are small enough to where it actually holds it up off the metal. But man, that thing's quiet. It's a miracle. I mean, this my regular upright Haler freezer is louder than this thing. So yeah. So while it's actually chilling down, let's talk about these. But I actually got these two to work, believe it or not. They're both low in refrigerant, so when you turn it on to run it, it only frosts like right here, like this corner will be frosted, and that'll be it. That means it's just got low refrigerant in it. And this did the same thing, but only the float is the only thing that got chilled. So, but this is the parts, and this is the one I'm going to store and sell. So I'm gonna make these another video, but yeah. So we'll let this thing chill down here. It might take 24 hours or so, and then we'll see what temperature it holds and how well it frosts over. All right, refrigerator. I had to do a little bit more work. Had to do some work to the thermostat here, housing. Everything seemed like it working pretty good, except the thermostat had a problem. Had maybe a 30 to 40 degree, like it would go like down all the way down to maybe about 10 degrees, and it would shut off, and then it wouldn't come back on all the way until it got to about like above 40. So what would happen is the evaporator would melt, and I had drinks down here, and it would like pile ice on top, or you know, it would melt, and then when it come back on, it would freeze it, and it'd be ice and stuff on top of it. So what I did, I swapped out the thermostat. Here's the one that was in it, and swapped it out. I left the same housing, but I swapped the thermocoupler out, and I took it out of this one here. This is the junk one anyways. So I took it out right here and used it, and it's working pretty good. I had to put all that back together. So here's this one. See, that's how this one is, and this one right there. But this one, you can see I got an adapter, all this, and my next video will be me working on this one, gassing this one up. But so what I did is I tried it. I had all this loose here, just hanging there, you know. Make sure I get it all adjusted right and everything before I bolt it up, and I just turned it back on. It got up to about 60 degrees in here, so we'll see how it runs. But it maintained. I run it for about 3 days after I changed the thermostat thermocoupler out. Run it for about 3 days, and everything, it held within. It stayed right in about 30 degrees. So I'm putting it all back together and trying it all back out. And then I'm gonna let it run for a day or two with everything hooked back up, and we'll see how everything runs on that, you know, and we'll get back with you. All right, it's the next day here. It just cut on. I just opened the door up, so it's right in the refrigerator range. So it's running down to about maybe about 25 degrees. So it's about a 5-degree range. The only reason it's going back up because I got the door open here. But seems like everything's running good. It's staying around 30 degrees, which I want. I want it to be a little colder because I want my drinks to be kind of frosty. Door shutting good. I didn't mention about why I changed these out, because I had the painted hinges on here, and I just mentioned about swapping these hinges out. I changed them to these, and I didn't give a reason why in the early part of the video. But the reason I swapped these, stole the ones off this one, is the hinges were a little more wore out, the painted ones, and it dropped the door down to where it wouldn't. You can see how it's on the lower half, and it was further down. It wouldn't even. I had to lift the door. I had to lift the door up to get it to go in there with the painted hinges. So these seem like these are not as wore out in there. Like, let me get in there. Yeah, right there where my fingernail is. And I was able to take a hammer and like tap right here a little bit to raise the door up a little bit on these. Seemed like these done a little bit better. But I'm gonna pretty much wrap this project up because, you know, I may, you know, I know earlier part of the video you've seen where it's been taped up, but I'm just gonna leave it alone for right now. I'm gonna try to find a one. It's supposed to have 3 shelves. You know, 2 of them's missing. Obviously, one here, one there. So I'm gonna try to just find at least one more shelf. I've already got the measurements on it, and so I can be able to not have to have all my drinks piled up on top of each other in the bottom. So wrap that up, and hopefully my next video will be me working on this one right there. So guys, like, share, subscribe. I'll try to do some more videos here, and try to keep y'all entertained and stuff. But catch you guys on the next one.